Hey everybody, good morning. I'm Marion, the Inappropriate Artist. And today, actually I'll start with yesterday. Yesterday I posted a video of me cutting up my watercolors to mount as a float mount on top of some handmade papers as one way of presenting the work. Today, I'm going to be cutting openings in Bristol board, so easy to cut through kind of stuff. The old-fashioned way, sort of. I'm a little nervous. I've never done this before. I've always used mat cutters, I admit. I mean, I know all of the information to lead up to it. The hand cutting with a ruler is new for me as far as mats go. So come along for the ride as you watch my OCD maybe just go a little crazy. All right, so I'm gonna flip the camera around so you can see what I'm doing. And here we go. Okay, so what I have is some Bristol Strathmore paper and one of my paintings. This one's called Tranquility. I love the colors on this. And I love my distance here in the sky. It's just beautiful, spontaneous painting. I really enjoyed doing that. I used a couple of different images to get my distance and the silhouettes. Yeah, so I had a lot of fun doing this painting. Okay, but that's not what we're here about. So what I'm going to do, I'm deciding that I want to leave a border around the image. And I want that border to be 1/4 of an inch. So I'm going to do some easy math here, right? Instead of like measuring my opening and doing all the math, I'm going to say, I know that the outside dimension of this paper, which is going to be my finished size, is 14 by 11. So my opening, I want 1/4 inch around. So there's the 14 on the edge. So if I want 1/4 inch, I'm going to do the short math. 1/2 inch is what I'm going to be adding to the image, right? So that's there. There's your 1/2 inch. And then over here, I have 4 3/8 of an inch. Now all I have to do is divide that by 2. Easy enough. So 2 and then 1/2 of 3/8 is 3/16. So 2 3/16 is our borders on the sides. And I'm going to, nice, both sides are clean. I'm going to write that down, 2 3/16. All right, and then my top and bottom. So, okay, now the vertical part of this, because I've signed it and I want to include the signature and the title of the piece in the opening. So I'm doing 1/4 inch on the top so it matches the top and sides, so that matches the sides. And then I will add whatever I need to incorporate this Y, right? Because that's my low point. So the 11 plus 1/4 of an inch. So that's going to be 11 1/4. And I want to add the Y, which is just over 3/8 of an inch. I am going to make it the full the full 1/2 inch, because I don't like splitting those tiny fractions when I'm cutting. So it's too much of a pain in the butt. So what I'm going to call this then is up here 5 1/4. So 1/2 of 5 1/4 is 1/2 of 5, 2 1/2, 1/2 of 1/4 is 1/8 of an inch. So 2 5/8 inch on the top and bottom. Now, I could, and probably will, make my top and sides even, because that's what I'm doing on these borders. So in that case, I'm going to do this a little differently. I know I want 2 3/16 of an inch on the top. So 2 3/16 plus that 1/4 inch is 2 7/16. So I'm going to put that on the edge of the top here. Okay. And then I'm going to go down here and say, okay, so the 7 and 7/8 is what incorporates that Y. I have until the 11, so I'm going to count back. 1, 2, 3, and 1/8 inch on the bottom. So that's how I'm doing that. So 3 1/8 on the bottom, and 2 3/16 of an inch top and sides. Okay, so now I've laid that out. Put the art away for a moment. Okay, I can put it right under here. All right, so now I have my mat. This second sheet is going to be my backing. So I'm going to leave it, whoops, let's just leave that inside here. So the second sheet's going to be my backing. But for now, what I'm going to do, since I am limited in cutting boards, I am going to flip this over and use my chipboard as my back. All right. Now, if I had a scribe, I would put the setting on the scribe and I would draw my line. I no longer have a scribe, or I do, and it's just hiding from me right now. Which is fine, because this way I can show you how to do it just, you know, Joe Schmo way, I suppose. Okay, so 3 1/8 inch. Actually, let's do it using the 6 because I'll be more accurate. So 1, 2, 3 1/8 of an inch. Make a mark. Make tiny marks, because if you make too big a mark, you're now going from possible uneven line to possible uneven line, right? And you can end up with a crooked border. If you make just a tiny mark or a dot, you give yourself the opportunity of being way more accurate. So that's just a little helpful hint. And 1, 2, 3 1/8. Okay. So I'm going to draw my bottom line. And I don't have to go all the way edge to edge, just far enough to incorporate where my cross cuts are going to be. All right. That looks awkward, but I don't know why it would. I measured everything. Yeah, we're fine. Okay, it's just me being OCD. All right, so now 2 3/16. Here's where stops would be nice. I could just set it and go. But again, I don't get that luxury right now. All right, so I'm going to do this here. And if I make this edge line up perfectly, then my ruler is going to be straight. And I can also see that it lines up perfectly with this line. So my borders are 2 3/16, 2 3/16, make a dot. And I know the edge of my paper is 14, so I'm just going to go 1, 2 3/16. All right, so there's that. And we'll do it again up here. And I'll use the edge of my paper as my guide to keep everything square and straight. 2 3/16. 1, 2 3/16. All right. So there's that. And then I want also, I'm just going to draw these out because then you'll see. Or maybe you won't see. I don't know how well you can see the lines I'm making. I'm not doing heavy lines because if I don't cut directly on the line, it can leave a mark on the paper. And I don't want to leave marks on my paper. So I just do a light line. Now I need to measure my top. So again, I'm going to use the bottom of my edge of my paper here. And move this to 1, 2, and 3/16. And I have my line, existing line, to use as my guide here on this side. 1, 2. I always count because, yeah, this girl makes mistakes. I'm dyslexic, and so sometimes that will mess with me. So if I don't do this stuff out loud, I make mistakes. So here we go. Line it up. I made kind of a fat mark on this side, so I'm going for the center of it in hopes that it's square. Okay, so now I have drawn my opening. And I am going to get out my handy dandy little X-Acto knife. I bought this a few years ago to help me in cutting tape down for French mass. This is a wonderful little tool that helps save my hands, right? Because, you know, cutting can get, it can hurt all of this. You know, cutting with fine razor blades like this hurts these muscles right here. And so this blade, whoops, which is a little bit dusty, haven't used it in a while. Okay, woo! But this is a nice, I can tell, a nice sharp blade. It's barely been used. And these are a little bit more heavy duty than the matte blades that I use. Just because usually for cutting mats, I'm using a single-edged blade, and it usually only gets about 10 cuts before you gotta change the blade in order to keep it fresh. So here I go. I put the because I'm right-handed. Actually, I want to cut, no, I want to do it this way. So I want to put my ruler on the border so that if I slip into the opening, not onto the actual mat. And I'm going to stand up to do this part. Whoops. Hold my blade right. There we go. And I go right to the corner. Can always trim out your corners after. Hence the reason I am no longer doing picture framing, my friends. This gets painful. Pinky out to steady the hand. All right. And we have an opening. And I think I have enough. Oh yeah. See, now my fallout I'm going to use for this guy. That's cool. All right. So now I have a nice little mat opening, and got a little bit of stuff in this corner, but I can just carefully cut it out. Right? Pushing the blade. Whoops, there we go. My edges look pretty good. Oh, don't stab yourself. And that one. All right, I am gonna let this go. So now I have a rough edge. Little trick. Take your fingernail, just run it along the edge, and put down your blade while you do this so you don't hurt yourself. This is the reason I cut from the back too, right? Because I want my fronts to look is pristine. Now I have a little tiny overcut there, but all I have to do is take my fingernail and burnish it down a little bit. And I mean tiny overcut. I think it's a 32nd of an inch. Maybe even quite possibly a 64th. So now that I have my mat cut, I can flip this over, pull out this guy. Here's my backing board, or my backing sheet, as the case may be. And I have, do this. Voila! A nice, I'm just gonna line it up. There we go. And we have a matted finished piece ready to go. Now I am going to do a little something extra here. I'm going to, okay, I need this again. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm lining this up so that I can make what we call in the industry a book mat. So I'm not going to use tons of tape, just enough to make this work. So one here, and I just lightly tack it in place, okay? Because you don't want to go, I'll show you in a second how we're, and now you've got a little, what we call a book mat. So now I've got that like that. I can take my piece and center it. Now all I have to worry about is centering my top and sides, because the bottom will fall right into place. Now I've been doing this a long time. I've got a pretty decent eye about it, but I am still gonna check. Quarter inch. I'm still good. Hey, this baby still got it. Woohoo! All right, so now this is the other part. We're gonna hinge it now. So, as I don't really have some great weights, I think that will do enough. Maybe not. What else do I have that could be? Wait. Oh, wait a minute. I do. Wait a minute. I have weights. I forgot. Okay. So I made these years ago out of scrap picture glass. Yay. And I get to make use of them. I'm so happy. All right. So now that's like that. I'm going to slide it forward a little bit, give myself some room. And I'm going to let this fall back and take, I don't need to put a ton of tape in this, okay? You know, you just enough. So you got one there, okay? And again, you don't have to push down hard. I'll show you in a second. And then this one. And I try to get them about the same distance from the edge. And you do want to do them further out so it doesn't teeter. This is all about support. And then, whoops, that one's not going to be quite long enough for that. Then I put a big enough piece over the top to hold it in place. And this is where having fingernails comes in handy. I can use my fingernail to burnish it down. See, now I can burnish it, right? Is that going to be long enough? No, I need a longer piece of tape. Ah, dang. All right. So, all right, there we go. That'll do the trick. And this one, just like that. And again, with the fingernail over the surface will be enough. And we have, look at that, nicely matted little piece ready to go out the door. Yay. See, it's, well, okay, so since this is just like fragile paper, I can't really hold it by the front of the mat, but you can see it's not going anywhere. All right, so this little one's ready to go. Exciting, exciting. And I will do the rest, but I thought I'd show you that today. So I hope you enjoyed a little demo on how to mat your artwork with what you got handy, right? So I did this with Bristol paper. You can use more watercolor paper if that's what you want to do. I kind of want to save my watercolor paper for painting on. But it is a very simple, easy way to make sure that your work is presentable for sale. Thanks everybody for joining me today. If you like the video, you can give me a thumbs up. And if you want to subscribe, you can hit that subscription button below and the notification bell if you want to get notified every time I post a video. And if you'd like to contribute to my channel, you are more than welcome to. I have a PayPal account below. You can contribute to a multitude of different things. If you want to be specific about what I use the money for, you can put that in the message of your donation or your contribution. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.